Lifetime Achievement Award, the Honorable Melquiades Martinez. It was April 1958. Mel Martinez and his brother Ralph lay on the bedroom floor as gunfire erupted in the streets. 4 years later, he was on a plane, separated from his family, leaving his native Cuba and headed to safety in the United States. With the help of Catholic charities and a program called Pedro Pan, Melquiades Martinez began life in America as a 15-year-old exile, not knowing what lay ahead.
Well, I think that the most glaring moment of that upcoming separation happened when at the airport we were placed into the pecera, which was a glassed-in room where all people leaving Cuba in those days had to go. And so for a period of 3 hours or so during that day, that physical separation was sort of a cruel prelude to what was coming later that day when we would be separated for over 4 years.
After a few months, Mel was placed with a foster family in Orlando. They knew no Spanish, and Mel knew no English. But his new foster parents treated him like one of their own. In high school, Mel's Spanish-English dictionary was his constant companion. At first, despite his best efforts, he found himself unable to keep up.
The fact is that I didn't speak English and I wasn't doing very well in school when I just, there was no bilingual education or anything like that. And so it really was a tough time academically, for sure. I didn't really have a plan B. So succeeding and getting on with life was part of what I needed to do and have to do.
Despite being told by a school counselor that he was not college material, Mel went on to Florida State University, earned his undergraduate degree, and met his future wife, Kitty. A law degree followed, then employment in a prominent Orlando law firm. Eventually, he started his own law practice. Then another door opened, and with support from his family, public service became Mel's calling.
I think because I grew up in this country from the age of 15 on, I also learned that that's part of the American way. This sense of social commitment to your neighbor, to your fellow man, is something that's really ingrained in the American culture, and I think it's frankly somewhat unique, and I think it was something that I found admirable, and I want to be a part of that.
In 1998, winning the vote in every demographic category, Mel Martinez became the first Hispanic mayor of Orange County, Florida. He was instrumental in the founding of the Hispanic Business Initiative Fund and an early and strong supporter of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro Orlando.
I was always very conscious of the fact that I wasn't just doing that for me, but that I was representative of a group of people, which added a certain measure of responsibility and a certain added pressure. I felt like I was representing the larger whole of the Hispanic community, and in doing that, I felt a great sense of responsibility to do it in a way that made us proud.
Service on the national stage quickly followed when Mel was chosen by President George W. Bush to join his cabinet as the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. In 2004, Mel became the first Cuban American to serve in the U.S. Senate. He later became the first Hispanic to serve as chairman of the Republican National Committee.
His achievement is the fact that he was elected as a Latino. He was elected for the first job, he was appointed to a huge job the second time, and he was elected for the Senate position. So he was able to open the doors so other Latinos can run for office.
Before he left Cuba, long talks with his father gave Mel a firm foundation for how to live with courage and character.
So we had this wonderful bond and a lot of lessons, a lot of life's lessons about right and wrong, about honesty, about gratitude, about things, these values that he was able to impart that I think carried on with me and continued with me.
Mel's son John also learned much from his father.
The core principles I've learned from him are to have integrity, to have character, to be honest, and to do what you think in your heart is right. It's that simple.
Today, Mel serves as the chairman of the Southeast and Latin America for J.P. Morgan, Chase & Company. Fleeing to a strange new country can be frightening. For Melquiades Martinez, having values he could trust was essential.
Well, I think when you're in a moment like that, you have to, even at a young age, you have to dig deep into that reservoir that you have within you. And in my case, it was my faith, which was always a paramount part of my life, thankfully. And I think it was just the certitude that I had that my parents loved me, that I would be, had the confidence that I would see them again.
Today, the United States has become Mel's adopted home, and its people have become his friends and family.
I look forward to continuing to be involved in the community. I've been very interested in the issue of homelessness. I plan to continue to work in that. I'm enjoying my children, my grandchildren. I'm enjoying being a part of my family in a way that you cannot do when you're in public life. And so that's been a great reward and something that I'm really quite happy about.
Mel continues to cherish the culture and traditions of his native Cuba while embracing the country that allowed him to be free.